Hey guys, welcome back to Recall On. Today I'm gonna show you an action, mystery, horror, romance, science fiction and thriller film from 1985 titled Lifeforce. Before I start, warning. Spoilers ahead. The film begins with Churchill, the combined British and American space shuttle under the leadership of Colonel Tom Carlsen, discovers a 150-mile-long spaceship hiding in Halley's Comet's coma. A small team is dispatched to investigate the seemingly organic spaceship. Inside, they find hundreds of withered bat-like creatures. While the team bags a desiccated creature to take back for investigation, an inner mouse umbrella-like structure unfolds over Churchill. In the mysterious spaceship, an opening on the wall pours radiant light. Despite his team's fears, Carlsen directs them inside the opening, where they find three nicked humanoid beings in suspended animation within glass containers. Carlsen is oddly drawn to the female creature. The team takes all three humanoid beings and one of the bat-like creatures. A month into its journey back to Earth, Mission Control loses touch with Churchill. According to their findings, Churchill hasn't adjusted their course since after they left Comet. A rescue mission is dispatched to find out what occurred on board. To their surprise, Churchill has been completely devastated by fire, including the crew. The only things left unscathed are the three cases of the humanoid creatures. The rescue team retrieves tape recordings of the ship for further investigations. All three capsules are transferred to the European Space Research Centre in London, where Dr. Leonard Bukovsky and Professor Hans Fallada watch them. Bukovsky reports that the cases opened on their own during their investigations. The doctors intend to dissect the bodies, but require Fallada's confirmation that the bodies are dead. However, Fallada is uncertain how to determine alien life is dead. That evening, Bukovsky watches the news while monitoring the footage from the operating room, where the female creature is kept. The news reports about Halley's Comet's connection to the incident at the Churchill ship, recounting how in ancient times, the comets were considered harbingers of evil in ancient times. In the operating room, the guard on duty is drawn to the unconscious female creature. He approaches her bed and slowly tries to touch her. The woman suddenly awakens and moves closer to the guard, who's seemingly under her spell. Bukovsky witnesses from the monitor as the female removes the guard's protective helmet. Bukovsky runs to the guard's aid, while the spacewoman kisses the guard. The kiss allows her to drain his life force. Bukovsky rushes to the operating room, but he only finds the guard's burned corpse. The woman emerges from a corner and approaches Bukovsky, inviting him to use her body. While searching for Bukovsky, Fallada sees the situation from the monitor and rushes to the room with security in tow. There, they find a weak Bukovsky on the floor. The spacewoman walks around the research center, where three guards corner her. They attempt to capture her, but she easily defeats them. Fallada heads down to the main lobby to capture her, but he's too late. The woman breaks the glass doors and walks out of the facility. Officials arrive at the scene, including Colonel Colin Kane, leader of the investigation. Bukovsky and Fallada immediately escort him to the burnt guard for observation. Colonel Kane interrogates Bukovsky on how the creature overpowered him. Bukovsky confesses that the woman's feminine charms overwhelmed him. Bukovsky reveals that the tapes from Churchill weren't destroyed in the fire, but the files were intentionally erased. An escape pod from Churchill is also missing, implying that someone might have escaped. When they scanned the creature's cases, the X-ray only returned blurry images, suggesting that the cases aren't physical objects. Bukovsky theorizes that they may be force fields instead. After Bukovsky excuses himself, Fallada admits to Kane how he's fascinated with death and life after it. He theorizes that the woman drained the guard's life force and potentially a portion of Bukovsky's. Hearing this, Kane calls the woman a vampire, which Fallada agrees to. Meanwhile, two guards watch over the two spacemen, arguing if the creatures are alive or dead. Suddenly, the room explodes and the spacemen awaken from their cases. In defense, the guards fire their weapons at them, but the bullets don't stop them. The guards throw grenades at the creatures, seemingly defeating them. The doctors perform an autopsy on the guard killed by the woman. As they are about to start, the guard's decaying body comes back to life, frightening the doctors. He beckons one of the doctors for help, and the doctor approaches him, seemingly drawn to the undead creature. The guard drains the life force out of him, allowing the guard to return to his normal form. Once back to his normal form, the guard panics over what he'd done. They sedate and lock him in isolation. Fallada suggests isolating the fallen doctor's body as well, believing that it could reanimate like the guard. Kane receives a report about a desiccated female body found in a park. Eyewitnesses claim that the woman was with another dark-haired woman who wasn't clothed. The witnesses, however, didn't see where the dark-haired woman went. Seeing that the victim's body is unclothed, they believe the spacewoman stole her clothes. Later that day, Kane and Falata show Sir Percy around the facility as they monitor the space creature's victims. The guard struggles as he craves life force from humans. 2 hours after failing to sustain himself, the guard returns to his desiccated form with his insides turned to ashes. The fallen doctor also rampages in his cell until he explodes into ashes. They watch as the woman from the park reanimates, strapped to a bed. The cardiac monitors attached to her explode just before she does. Still puzzled by the whole situation, the team receives a call that a Churchill escapopod is found in Texas with Colonel Tom Carlsen still alive. Seemingly still traumatized about the whole situation, Carlsen is airlifted to London where the executives welcome him. They question him about how Churchill was destroyed. Carlsen recounts how they transported the space people into the ship and kept them in a safe room for isolation. During their journey back to Earth, the crew began to exhibit weird behaviors such as destroying controls on the ship without recollection of doing so afterward. One by one, the crew members died without any trace of how until Carlsen was the lone survivor. Carlsen believed that the space creatures were at fault. Seeing that Churchill was closing in on Earth's orbit, he couldn't allow the creatures to wreak havoc on the planet. Carlsen released gas inside the ship before setting their captured bat-like creature on fire. He entered the escape pod just before the ship erupted. Despite his actions, Carlsen admits that it was hard for him to leave the spacewoman. While Kane monitors Carlsen in his sleep, Bukovsky reports that an unusual structure has left Halley's Comet and is heading towards Earth. During his sleep, Carlsen dreams about the spacewoman appearing as a bat-like creature. Despite fearing her, Carlsen also feels a sense of comfort, as if they have a connection. In his dream, they share an intimate moment amid the chaos around them. Carlsen wakes up screaming, claiming that the woman is draining him. During hypnosis to assess his mental state, Carlsen reveals his telepathic link to the female alien. He reveals that the woman has taken another person's body and is now sharing it with the original owner, Ellen. The woman is in search of a healthy man to drain, but not enough to kill. Carlsen sees the woman seducing an elderly man who's driving her somewhere. Kane attempts to search the elderly man using the license number that Carlsen gave. Falata is intrigued by how the spacewoman can take control of another body and drain life force without killing, thus possibly why they haven't traced her yet. While Falata studies a tissue sample from the aliens, a sergeant knocks on his door with mysterious intent. Sir Percy reveals that the elderly man was found, exhausted from his encounter with the woman. The man shared that he dropped Ellen off at an asylum, so Carlsen, Kane, and Sir Percy travel to search for her. At the asylum, they meet with the hospital director, Dr. Armstrong, who takes them to Ellen's quarters. Without a choice, Ellen lets them in, and they question her about the elderly man she spent time with. Carlsen forces her to speak up, even resorting to hurting her, but Carlsen finally insists that the spacewoman is no longer in her. Carlsen interrogates Ellen to reveal where the spacewoman is, but Ellen resists, also sharing a connection with the spacewoman. Ellen kisses Carlsen then passes out. The encounter allows Carlsen to identify the new body that the spacewoman might be inhabiting. With Armstrong's help, they identify the new body belonging to Jeffrey Sykes, a patient was in solitary confinement. Upon Carlsen's insistence, they prepare Sykes for hypnosis. But instead of Sykes, Carlsen injects Armstrong with the sedative. Carlsen reveals that he read Armstrong's mind and suspects that the spacewoman is possessing him. Just before injecting Armstrong again, the spacewoman's voice speaks through him, tempting Carlsen. She reveals that she and the spaceman took on their shapes when Carlsen and his crew entered. The spacewoman adapted her form using Carlsen's thoughts and learned their language through him. Carlsen becomes agitated, begging the woman to let go of his mind. Carlsen finds himself unable to resist a woman and kisses her through Armstrong's body. Suddenly, lights spark in the room and items fly chaotically. Carlsen is stuck holding Armstrong's body until Kane injects Armstrong with 2 more sedatives. Once Carlsen is free, he announces that they're too late to stop the woman. Kane worries that the woman deliberately led them away from London so she could continue spread her influence there. This opens the possibility that there are more of the woman's victims in London, will now be seeking other victims as well. Unfortunately, the encounter led to Percy's accidental death. With an unconscious Armstrong in tow, Carlsen and Kane head back to London. They receive a call from Falata, revealing that he killed one of the spacemen in their headquarters by impaling him on a leaded iron sword. The 2 spacemen didn't die in the explosion, but instead took over the bodies of the guards who attacked them. Rather than the heart itself, the vampire's critical area is a few inches below it. He hypothesizes that vampire legends are based on a past encounter by this extraterrestrial vampire race. After the call, blood spews from Armstrong's and Percy's orifices, shocking all passengers. The blood takes the shape of the spacewoman before splattering. Carlsen announces that the spacewoman is no longer in Armstrong, but she is in London. Carlsen finally confesses that he was so captivated by the spacewoman that he destroyed Churchill's control panel in the tapes. He woke her from the cage, and she took some of his life force while giving him some of hers. When they return to London, a plague has taken hold. Citizens are being taken over and have become rabid vampire alien zombies rampaging through London, causing a wave of violence and terror throughout the metropolis. Carlsen and Kane head to the Prime Minister's war room to discuss the matter. However, they discover that the Prime Minister is also infected. Carlsen and Kane quickly run back to the helicopter to avoid infected soldiers. The pilot reveals that the city is now under martial law and their helicopter has been ordered to land at Blackheath, preventing Carlsen and Kane from meeting with Falada. Carlsen and Kane are apprehended by a military patrol and taken to a quarantine facility outside London's city limits. They convince the authorities to let them return to the city to aid in stopping the contagion. From the soldiers, they learn that the ship from Halley's Comet is parked right above London. Outside, they find a beam of blue light going up to the sky and into the ship. Carlsen identifies the blue lights as human souls being collected by the ship. Carlsen can feel the woman calling out to him, knowing she wants to retrieve the energy she gave him back in Churchill. Carlsen knows that the spaceman will come for them once he finds the woman. Hearing this, Kane begs the military to stop the assault on London. He believes that killing the aliens will end the plague. Before arguing his case, Kane hears that Carlsen has escaped into London. Kane takes a car and drives into the chaotic London, despite the military's warnings. Kane heads to the research facility, thinking Carlsen will be going there. But instead, Carlsen is searching for the woman. While distracted with visions of the woman, Carlsen's vehicle is attacked by a horde that narrowly escapes. He drives to St. Paul's Cathedral to confront the spacewoman and finally put the whole fiasco to an end. Inside, Carlsen sees multiple drained bodies piled up. At the facility, Kane finds Falada in his office, where the dead spaceman lies. Falada reveals that Bukovsky has perished. As Falada speaks, Kane realizes that he has been infected, so he shoots him before retrieving the sword from the spaceman's corpse. Meanwhile, Carlsen finds the woman lying on the altar as the central point of the Lifeforce, being drained from Earth. Carlsen looks at her, still in awe, but this time aware of her intentions. The woman persuades Carlsen to join her as she ascends into the light, but he remains still. Kane heads to the cathedral, but hordes of infected run after him. Blue lights surround the city, taking the life forces of the victims. Kane arrives at the cathedral and finds the second spaceman standing at the doorway, consuming the life forces from the city. Kane stabs him with the sword and watches him transform into a bat-like creature before disintegrating. Kane retrieves the sword and heads inside. Kane sees Carlsen feed the spacewoman with his life force and tries to catch his attention, but it seems ineffective. Carlsen finally notices Kane and reaches out for the lead sword. Carlsen sacrifices himself by impaling himself and the spacewoman. Wounded, the woman returns to her spacecraft, releasing a flash of blue energy that rips the top off the church building's dome, taking Carlsen with her. The two ascend the column of blue light to the vessel that contains all of the planet's innumerable human souls. As the vampire zombies die one by one, Kane stands alone. He watches the ship travel to the vast space as London burns. The spacewoman is entombed back in her crystal coffin on board the alien ship, along with millions of victim souls in the form of blue light energy. It serves as fuel to power up the ship as it departs from Earth's orbit and heads toward the comet it came from. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.